many of you have ever been to a Southern Baptist potluck dinner? What about a funeral dinner provided by a local church? Or perhaps a summertime event called Dinner on the Grounds? It would be hard for me to believe that you have missed attending at least one of these events during your lifetime. But just in case you have, let me take a moment to explain. These types of dinners are long-held traditions in many churches. Few things bring people together quite like food. Churches have traditionally used such events to celebrate the good times, create opportunities for building friendships, and to help comfort grieving families. The food at these events is usually abundant and delicious. Think comfort foods, fried chicken, barbecue meats, meatloaf, baked mac and cheese, baked beans, potato salad, coleslaw. There is actually a delicious cheesy hash brown casserole that is so frequently found at such events that it is known simply as funeral potatoes. What does this have to do with the work of law enforcement? Well, glad you asked. Stick around with us for the next few minutes here at the Chaplain's Desk and find out. Welcome, friends, to this episode of the Chaplain's Desk. I am Chaplain Kurt Richey, your host, and today we are going to talk about one of my favorite things, food. But before we get to that, I want to especially thank you for taking a few minutes away from your very important work to hang out with us here. It is my sincere hope that you will be encouraged and inspired. I am confident that I speak for our team here at the Chaplain's Desk when I say we support you and appreciate the work you do and the sacrifices you make to keep our community safe and free. I am also confident that if you work for the Sumter County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Breeden and the command staff support and appreciate your commitment to serve and protect the many thousands of residents that call Sumter County home. Now, let's talk about potluck dinners. As a young boy growing up in the midst of the farms found in north central Indiana, one of my fondest memories were those incredible potluck dinners at the small country church attended by our family. I'm telling you, farmers know how to cook. Hearty meals, generous portions, and abundant laughter would be enjoyed by all. I remember filling my plate to overflowing, and then, after being told to be patient as I waited until all had been served, it was time to go back for a second helping of my favorite foods. Meats, potatoes, salads, and desserts. The supply seemed endless. As the years passed and I surrendered to God's calling upon my life to be a pastor, I would begin to see potluck dinners from a different perspective. I learned about the work that went into providing for those amazing dinners. There was a large and very dedicated group of volunteers working as a team that were necessary to make those dinners a success. The vast majority of those volunteers loved what they did and were grateful to serve others. Men would set up the tables and chairs, and ladies wearing their favorite hand-embroidered or patchwork aprons would be prepared to serve. And then there were the kitchen helpers who made sure everything was properly warmed or chilled as necessary. When the dinners concluded, A cleanup crew would make sure the trash was handled. Everything was picked up and put back in storage. But the people I want to focus upon today are the cooks. It didn't take long, and you'd begin to know from whose kitchen each dish originated. One person brought the best baked mac and cheese. Someone else could always be depended upon for the very best baked beans. That was that pan of beans with strips of thick smoked bacon nestled into a sweet, sticky, caramelized top. Prize-winning pies from women who had won repeated blue ribbons at the county fair would be sliced and waiting at the end of the serving table. These cooks worked many hours in farm country kitchens, making sure that there would be plenty of food for all. Every cook sharing in the burden. Everyone, that is, except Sister Nellie Popufnik. Now, just for the record, that name only exists in my imagination. And the story and details that follow are what I might like to call plausible fiction. With that in mind, I want you to know that I always genuinely appreciated everyone that contributed, whether much or little, to these events. However, I want to talk for a moment about Sister Nellie Popufnik and her coleslaw. It is vitally important that you know that as her pastor, I loved Sister Popufnik. She was a sweet lady that was always present. She loved Jesus and the church. I visited in her home on many occasions and was always treated very well. With each potluck or funeral dinner, cooks would be given a fair estimate of how many people would be in attendance. A sign-up sheet would be posted, and each cook would write down what dish they would bring. Friendly guidance would be provided to indicate how many people would be needed to bring hot casseroles and how many desserts might be required. The basic idea of a potluck was if everyone brought a family-sized portion or maybe just a wee bit larger, there would always be more than enough food for all attending. Sister Nellie Popufnik always signed up to bring coleslaw. However, and this is the point where I have to be very careful, and I need you to hear my heart. I always could depend upon Sister Nellie to bring coleslaw, and her dependability was to be commended. But I also knew that we would need to find someone to be the backup person when it came to coleslaw. Because Nellie always, no matter what size crowd was expected to attend, Nellie brought the exact same thing. A 16-ounce container of coleslaw from the local Kroger store. Sister Popufnik didn't suffer in her willingness, but she suffered what I would call situational awareness. Let me explain. Sometimes on a Wednesday night, Joni and I help serve pizza to a few dozen elementary-age children. It's really simple. The pizza choice is pepperoni or cheese, and seldom does any child eat more than one piece. On occasion, maybe two. On a different occasion, we help serve about 100 high school students, young men and women, at a Future Farmers of America gathering held at a local high school gymnasium. At this event, you better come with your A game. Those young men and women are hungry. You need to show up with cheeseburgers, lots of cheeseburgers, and huge pans of mac and cheese, and lots of desserts. Situational awareness is very important. Nowhere is this more important than in the work of law enforcement. In a football game, if the offensive line fails, the quarterback might get sacked. If someone doesn't bring enough coleslaw, people can eat potato salad. But if a deputy doesn't have situational awareness, he himself or even others could be seriously injured or even killed. If you are a part of a team, and if team members had nicknames, you don't want to be the one called Coleslaw. It seems like every team has one. That person who is going to need backed up. And that may be acceptable during periods of training. It may be acceptable for a while. But at some point, you need to be fried chicken. You need to be the potato salad. You need to be the one that walks in the door and the rest of the team breathes a sigh of relief. The big players have shown up. The providers are in the kitchen. We are going to survive what is ahead of us. Let's now take a moment to see what the Bible has to say. Number one, in Colossians 3:23, we find these words, "And whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men." There is a biblical principle involved here. God institutes governmental authority as a necessity to restrain chaos. Those who administer that authority should do so with excellence, as to the Lord. Number two, in Romans 12:13, Paul gives these instructions. Never be lacking in zeal, not slothful or lazy in business, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. King Solomon wrote, "Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might." Now, whether your business be feeding the future farmers of America or taking bad guys into custody, whether it be calling upon an elderly person living alone in a nursing home or comforting someone injured in a car crash until the paramedics arrive, don't just check a box. Do more than what is expected. Number three, in 1 Timothy, we learn that generosity should be the standard, not the exception. What is the conclusion of all this? In the work of law enforcement, remember that you are servant administrators of authority, that we, myself included, should not be lazy. And lastly, we aren't finished until we are generous. Thank you for listening today to The Chaplain's Desk. I hope you have been encouraged. If you want to reach out to us, our email is simply Chaplain Richey, all one word, and Richey is spelled Richey. Let me repeat it, Chaplain Richey @yahoo.com. We will get back to you as soon as possible. We strive to get back to our email content within 24 hours or less. Please share this podcast with your friends in law enforcement. We truly appreciate your support. May God bless you and your family with His love, His provision, and perhaps most of all, His protection. Let your mind be clear, your heart true, and your spirit faithful. And always stay safe.